Kolb Learning Cycle, Experience into Learning by David Kolb. Have you ever noticed that some people go through the same experiences year after year and yet never seem to grow? They attend meetings, handle problems, make mistakes, complete projects, face challenges, and still their thinking stays the same. Their performance stays the same, their leadership stays the same, while others take one difficult experience and somehow become wiser, stronger, and more effective because of it. Why? Because experience alone does not automatically create learning. Time alone does not automatically create growth. Being busy does not automatically create wisdom. What creates growth is what we do with the experience. This is exactly what educational theorist David Kolb wanted to understand. Kolb recognized that people were constantly having experiences, but not everyone was converting those experiences into meaningful learning. Some repeated mistakes, some stayed stuck. Some reacted emotionally, but never reflected deeply enough to improve. So he introduced one of the most practical learning frameworks still widely used today, the Kolb Learning Cycle, a 4-stage process showing how real development happens when experience is consciously transformed into insight, understanding, and improved future action. Kolb argued something powerful. Learning is not a one-time event, it is a continuous cycle. And once you understand this cycle, you begin to realize why some people keep repeating life, while others keep evolving through it. The core idea of Kolb's learning cycle. At the center of Kolb's model is one important truth. We do not learn best simply by doing. We learn best by doing, reflecting, understanding, and applying. This means an experience alone is only the start. For learning to become complete, the mind must process what happened, why it happened, what it means, and what should be done differently next time. Kolb organized this into 4 connected stages: concrete experience, reflective observation, abstract conceptualization, active experimentation. Together, these 4 stages create a cycle of continuous development. So, what is the impact? Kolb shows us that growth happens when experience is examined, not just endured. Stage 1, concrete experience. The cycle begins with concrete experience. This is the actual event. Something happens, you lead a meeting, you handle a difficult customer, you fail at a task, you manage conflict, you try something new. This is real-world exposure, real-life doing, real interaction. Without experience, there is no raw material for learning. But here is where many people stop. They have the experience, then immediately rush to the next task. No pause, no thinking, no extraction of lessons. And that is why repeated busyness often produces repeated mediocrity. So, what is the impact? Experience gives you the lesson, but only if you choose to open it. Stage 2, reflective observation. The second stage is reflective observation. Now we pause and ask, what actually happened? How did it feel? What went well? What went wrong? What surprised me? What patterns do I notice? This stage requires honesty, not defensiveness, not excuses. Reflection means stepping outside the event long enough to study it. This is where awareness begins. Many leaders avoid this stage because reflection can be uncomfortable. It forces us to confront mistakes, blind spots, emotional reactions, poor decisions, but without reflection, experience remains just an event, not a teacher. So what is the impact? Reflection turns events into awareness. Stage 3, abstract conceptualization. Now comes deeper thinking, abstract conceptualization. This means making sense of what happened. What principle can I learn from this? What theory explains this? What insight does this reveal? What should I understand now that I did not understand before? This is where information becomes meaning. Perhaps you realize I gave unclear instructions, or I I reacted emotionally under pressure, or my team needed more support than control. Now a lesson begins forming. You are no longer simply remembering the event, you are extracting a principle from the event. This is intellectual growth, this is understanding. So what is the impact? Understanding the lesson is what prevents you from repeating the same mistake blindly. Stage 4. Active experimentation. Finally comes active experimentation. This means applying the new lesson, trying a new approach, testing the new understanding in future situations. Because if learning stays only in the mind, nothing changes. Growth requires action. You communicate differently, lead differently, prepare differently, respond differently. And then that new action creates another experience, which begins the cycle all over again. This is why Kolb called it a cycle. Learning never truly ends. It deepens, repeats, refines, strengthens. So what is the impact? True learning is proven when future behavior changes. Why Kolb's model matters in the workplace. Modern workplaces are full of experiences, meetings, deadlines, conflict, mistakes, successes, feedback, pressure, yet not all employees or leaders improve at the same rate. Why? Because some simply survive the week, others study the week. That difference changes everything. A person who consciously reflects, learns, and reapplies becomes more adaptable, more self-aware, more strategic, more emotionally intelligent. This is why Kolb's cycle is used heavily in leadership development, coaching, education, professional training, medical learning, management reflection. Because organizations now understand experience without reflection wastes opportunity. Real workplace example. Imagine a manager leads a team meeting that goes badly. People are disengaged. Questions are unclear. No real decisions are made. Without Kolb, the manager simply moves on embarrassed. But with Kolb, concrete experience, the meeting failed. Reflective observation. Staff looked confused and disengaged. Abstract conceptualization. Perhaps the agenda lacked clarity and participation. Active experimentation. Next meeting, the manager sends objectives beforehand, asks targeted questions, and invites more discussion. Result: the next meeting improves. This is learning in motion, not because time passed, but because the experience was processed. Advantages and limitations of Kolb's learning cycle. Advantages: encourages deep reflection, promotes continuous growth, helps convert mistakes into wisdom, improves self-awareness, works well in leadership and coaching, creates active rather than passive learners. Limitations: requires discipline and honesty. Many people rush through reflection, can feel time-consuming in busy workplaces. Some individuals struggle with abstract analysis. Still, its strength remains clear. It teaches people how to learn from life, not merely how to live through life. Where Kolb is used today. Kolb's learning cycle is commonly used in leadership training, teacher, education, management, coaching, medical simulation, learning professional development, apprenticeships, mentoring programs. Anywhere growth depends on learning from real action. Kolb remains highly relevant. Key lesson. David Kolb reminds us of something many people forget. Just because something happened to you does not mean you learned from it. Years of experience can still produce little wisdom if those years were never reflected upon. Some people repeat 1 year of behavior 10 times. Others use 1 year to become 10 years wiser. The difference is not experience, the difference is conscious learning. So ask yourself, are you simply moving from event to event, or are you turning each experience into an education? Take a moment, pause and reflect. Grab a pen, pencil it down. Pencil. Write down one recent workplace experience and walk it through. Experience, reflection, understanding, new action. because every experience holds a lesson, but only for those willing to study it. I hope this brought value to you, and I'm wishing you abundant success. Take a moment, pause for thought. What would you like to learn and explore next?